Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. Since we're wrapping up the week, I thought we'd dive into a thought experiment that is just completely out there. What if Homer's grand, grueling, epic tragedy, the Odyssey, was reimagined as a relaxing Mediterranean weekend getaway, right? Like, how would that even work? Well, by simply giving our legendary hero, Odysseus, full access to modern technology. It completely flips the script, and honestly, it is hilarious to think about. So right off the bat, we have to look at the sheer scale of the original story. We all know the classic myth, right? A brutal 10-year journey packed with violent shipwrecks, flesh-eating monsters, starvation, and just endless divine wrath. I mean, it was a decade of pure, unadulterated agony for this guy. But what happens when we introduce a little modern efficiency? The breezy, problem-solving power of the tech we use every day turns a decade of agonizing survival into, essentially, a luxury cruise across the Aegean Sea.
Shrinking this epic timeline down is just brilliant. Just imagine the itinerary. Day 1, you depart the burning ruins of Troy with a crisp 100% battery charge. Day 2, you smoothly avoid all those legendary mythical beasts using standard GPS navigation, maybe stopping for a quick scenic lunch. And Day 3, you're safely back home in Ithaca, unlocking the front door and unpacking your bags. Distilling a literal decade of legendary struggles into a snappy 3-day travel itinerary really puts our modern conveniences into perspective, doesn't it?
Okay, let's get into it. Section 1. Tech departure. Electric propulsion and GPS.
Think about the absolute first major obstacle Odysseus faced when leaving Troy. The unpredictable, terrifying wrath of Poseidon. In the ancient method, your ship is entirely dependent on sails and wind. That means the god of the sea is in complete control of your destiny. He wants to strand you on a hostile shore, bam, he just stops the wind. He wants to blow you to the ends of the earth, he summons a gale. But with modern tech, you've got a sleek, perfectly silent, zero-impact boat running entirely on high-efficiency solar panels and electric propulsion. Suddenly, the mighty Poseidon is literally powerless. No wind, no problem. You're just cruising along purely on the endless Mediterranean sun.
And of course, getting hopelessly lost was like half of Odysseus' problem. The guy spent years blown off course. Imagine having a standard modern marine GPS plotter right there on the dashboard. It would effortlessly calculate the absolute perfect, most efficient route from Troy to Ithaca. The software would just gently chime in with that calm AI voice. Recalculating route, turn left after Scylla to avoid sea monster traffic jams. Decade-long detours and cursed navigational errors, completely avoided by an app you can download for free.
Moving right along. Section 2. Digital Sirens and Cyclops.
So when we transition from the high seas to those iconic monster encounters, these terrifying mythological threats literally just become standard consumer tech use cases. Take the Sirens, for example. The ancient survival tactic was incredibly desperate, stuffing thick beeswax deep into the crew's ears and physically tying Odysseus to the ship's mast with heavy ropes so he wouldn't jump overboard to a gruesome death. Today, you just hand out a few pairs of active noise-canceling headphones. You turn on a loud, upbeat Bluetooth playlist, click on ANC, and that deadly, alluring siren song is instantly reduced to a faint, easily ignorable background hum.
So everyday tech completely removes the mortal danger there. But what about the massive physical threats? Think about Polyphemus, the terrifying Cyclops. How exactly do you avoid a giant, man-eating, one-eyed monster waiting in a dark, bone-littered cave to crush your crew?
Well, you don't even go inside. If Odysseus had modern tech, his boat or little exploration drone would be equipped with LiDAR sensors. These sensors map environments in ultra-precise 3D and would easily detect a giant biological mass from hundreds of meters away, straight through the pitch black. Odysseus would just get a casual little smartphone alert, XL obstacle detected in cave, reroute immediately. They just keep walking down the beach, crisis completely averted.
But let's say they somehow ignored the notification and ended up face-to-face with the Cyclops anyway. In the epic, they had to miraculously blind him in his sleep using a massive, burning wooden stake they carved by hand. So much work. With tech, there's zero need for any of that. A simple, off-the-shelf, 10,000-lumen LED tactical flashlight would instantly blind his one good eye. Just click a button, temporarily blind the giant monster, and casually walk out the front door before he even knows what happened.
All right, Section 3. Smart home tech versus magic.
Physical monsters are easy enough to deal with, but what about magic? Circe's whole trick was luring starving men into her lavish palace and poisoning a grand banquet, turning Odysseus's valiant crew into squealing pigs. The ancient method resulted in, well, a lot of confused livestock and magical extortion. The modern tech solution?
A smart food scanner app. You just hold up your phone, scan the suspicious magical cheese and wine with your camera before taking a bite, and the app instantly flags the toxic, transfiguring enchantments. Pair that with setting up a few 4K security cameras around the camp to monitor things remotely, and absolutely nobody is falling for any poisoned magical banquets.
And honestly, those security cameras come in handy for Odysseus's own men, too. Let's be real, a lot of his setbacks were caused by his own crew doing phenomenally foolish things behind his back the literal second he closed his eyes. With a modern EV Sentry mode constantly recording the surroundings, Odysseus would instantly get a vibrating smartwatch alert if his men tried to secretly untie Aeolus's bag of winds while he was sleeping, or if they crept off to steal the sun god's sacred oxen. He could march right over and stop the mutiny before it even started.
Which brings us to Section 4, the Cybertruck, the ultimate ride of Odysseus.
Shifting our narrative from the ocean to land exploration, we have to ask the big question. What would the ultimate Greek hero actually drive? An extreme EV perfectly matches our guy. Odysseus is famous for his metis, his practical cunning, his adaptability, and his tactical intellect. He wouldn't want a fancy, fragile sports car that would just break down on a rocky shore. He'd want the stainless steel, geometric, purely functional armor of something like a Cybertruck. Actually, scratch that. It's not just armor. It acts as a giant power bank on wheels. He could plug in electric saws to quickly build escape rafts, power up high-beam field lights, or run a heavy-duty water distiller on remote desert islands. And if he's stuck on Calypso's island for years, he just activates camp mode for perfect climate control and rolls out the fold-out solar panels to charge up while he catches some Z's.
And let's not forget the pure performance aspect when things inevitably go wrong. Remember the Lastrygonians? Those angry, towering giants who destroyed almost Odysseus' entire fleet by throwing massive, mountain-sized boulders from the cliffs? The ancient method of survival was just running really fast and hoping for the absolute best. The modern tech method, you put that electric truck into ludicrous mode and accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 3 seconds. It is a hilarious mismatch. The giants wouldn't even know what just zoomed past them, let alone be able to hit it with a rock.
And finally, Section 5, a stealth return to Ithaca.
In the final act of our reimagined journey, Odysseus finally makes it home to Ithaca, but he has a problem. He has to deal with the ruthless suitors who have completely taken over his palace and are eating all his food. In the original epic, he has to go through an elaborate, humiliating, and dangerous disguise as a frail old beggar just to scout his own home. But with tech? Step 1. He just launches a 4K drone from the beach to do high-res aerial reconnaissance of the courtyard, counting exactly how many enemies there are. Step 2. He drives right up to the palace in his EV. Because it's electric, the arrival is entirely silent. Perfect total stealth. He takes the suitors completely by surprise. And Step 3, once he's efficiently kicked them all out, he casually plugs his truck into the wall box in the courtyard to charge up for the next day. Done and dusted.
So what does this all mean? It brings us to a final provocative thought. If Odysseus had solar power, active noise cancellation, and a rugged electric vehicle, would Homer have even bothered writing the Odyssey? Or would it have just been a quiet 2-day tech vlog uploaded to the internet? Modern technology completely removes the core struggle from our physical journeys. It makes our lives incredibly efficient, much safer, and wonderfully easy, but perhaps just a little bit less epic. It's a funny, lighthearted explainer that I hope you listeners will appreciate. Thanks for joining me today, everyone, and have a nice Sunday.